I stepped into Sophia's party, expecting laughter and champagne. Instead, I found my wife, Maria, draped across another man's lap, her laughter cutting deeper than any knife. The room froze as I locked eyes with her, my world unraveling. I'm Daniel Rivera, 42, a chef who thought he had it all. 2 sons, a thriving business, a loving wife. But Maria's affair was just the start. She'd been stealing our money, planning to abandon our boys. My next move would turn her betrayal into our triumph. Daniel Rivera leaned over a cutting board in his Coral Gables kitchen, the sharp scent of fresh cilantro filling the air as he prepped for a client's dinner party. At 42, he was a chef with a reputation for turning simple ingredients into unforgettable meals. His catering business, Rivera's Kitchen, had once been the talk of Miami's elite, serving up plates at galas and private yachts. But 6 months ago, a major client pulled out, leaving Daniel scrambling to keep the business afloat. Bills piled up, and a mortgage on their Coral Gables home loomed like a storm cloud. Maria, his wife of 15 years, had stepped up. She landed a high-powered job at Torres Consulting, a downtown firm that catered to Miami's corporate elite. Her salary dwarfed Daniel's dwindling income, and while he was grateful, the shift stung. He'd always been the provider, the one who made Lucas, 17, and Mateo, 12, proud with his culinary flair. Now, Maria's late nights and client meetings dominated their lives, leaving Daniel to handle school runs and client menus alone. The first cracks appeared subtly. Maria's phone was always buzzing, her screen angled away from Daniel's view. She'd brush off questions about her work with vague answers. Just client stuff. You know how it is. Her energy had shifted too. Less warmth when she kissed the boys goodnight, less patience when Daniel asked about her day. He chalked it up to stress. After all, he was buried in his own work, spending 14-hour days pitching to new clients and perfecting recipes to claw his way back to profitability. One Tuesday morning, as Daniel sliced mangoes for a ceviche, Maria rushed through the kitchen, grabbing her coffee mug. "Late night again," she said, not meeting his eyes. "Big pitch for a new partner, Javier Torres. He's flying in from New York." "Javier Torres?" Daniel asked, pausing his knife. "The guy running your firm?" "Yeah, he's brilliant," Maria said, a spark in her voice Daniel hadn't heard in months. "He's shaking things up. I need to nail this presentation." Daniel forced a smile. "Maybe I could cater it. Impress him with that mojo pork you love." She hesitated, then shook her head. "This is high stakes, Daniel. We're sticking with the usual vendors." Her words landed like a jab, implying his food wasn't up to par. Before he could respond, she was out the door, leaving a void in the kitchen. Mateo shuffled in, his soccer jersey wrinkled from sleep. "Dad, can you drive me to practice? Mom's always rushing, and her car smells like perfume now." Daniel laughed, ruffling his son's hair. "Sure, buddy. Let's get you there." But Mateo's comment lingered. Perfume? Maria hadn't worn anything new in years. As he drove Mateo to the field, Daniel's mind churned. Was he imagining things, or was Maria pulling away? Later that week, a call from Sofia Alvarez, a family friend who thrived on Miami's social scene, caught Daniel off guard. "Daniel, I'm throwing a little party Saturday at my Coconut Grove place," she said, her voice oddly urgent. "Cocktails, good company. You have to come. But don't tell Maria. It's a surprise." "A surprise?" Daniel asked, stirring a pot of sofrito. "What's the occasion?" "Just trust me," Sophia said. "Be there at 7 o'clock sharp." The call nagged at him. Sophia's tone wasn't festive. It was heavy, like she knew something he didn't. Daniel pushed it aside, focusing on a new client pitch. He couldn't afford distractions, not when Lucas's college applications were looming and Mateo's soccer camp fees were due. Still, as he chopped onions that evening, a knot formed in his gut. Maria had been distant all week, taking calls in the backyard, her laughter muffled but bright. She hadn't laughed like that with him in months. Saturday arrived, and Daniel left the boys with a neighbor, promising to be back by 10 o'clock. He drove to Coconut Grove, the streets lined with palm trees and glowing mansions. Sophia's house was alive with music and chatter as he pulled into the driveway. Luxury cars packed the lot. Lexus's Autis, a sleek Tesla. He stepped out, smoothing his jacket, the one he wore to pitch high-end clients. Whatever Sophia's surprise was, he'd face it head-on. Sophia greeted him at the door, her smile tight. "Daniel, you made it." "Come in." Her eyes darted nervously, and the crowd's chatter dipped as he entered. Faces he scanned. System, he knew. Neighbors, clients, Maria's co-workers watched him with uneasy glances. Something was wrong. Daniel's stomach twisted as he moved through the room, following the sound of Maria's laughter, sharp and carefree, from the living area. There she was on a sofa, pressed close to a man in a sharp suit. Javier Torres, Daniel realized, his heart pounding. Maria's hand rested on Javier's arm, her posture intimate, unguarded. The room went silent as Daniel approached, his voice steady but lethal. "Enjoying the party, Maria?" Her face drained of color, her hand dropping from Javier's arm. The crowd held its breath, waiting for what came next. Maria's laughter stopped cold as I stood in Sophia's living room, her hand slipping from Javier Torres' arm. The crowd held its breath, but I wasn't done. "Planning to tell me about your new client, Maria?" I asked, my voice slicing through the silence. "I'm Daniel Rivera, a chef who thought loyalty was our foundation. Now, I'm uncovering her lies, stolen money, secret plans to leave our sons. This betrayal runs deeper than an affair, and I'm ready to fight for my family." The air in Sophia's Coconut Grove mansion felt thick as Daniel Rivera locked eyes with his wife, Maria. Her shock was palpable, her body rigid on the sofa beside Javier Torres, the man she called her new partner at Torres Consulting. Javier shifted uncomfortably, his polished confidence faltering under Daniel's stare. The guests, neighbors, colleagues, and Miami's social elite stood frozen, their whispers swallowed by the tension. "Is this your idea of a spa day, Maria?" Daniel asked, his tone calm but razor-sharp. "Or is Javier here part of the firm's new business strategy?" Maria stood, her hands trembling as she smoothed her posture. "Daniel, this isn't what you think. Let's talk outside." "Outside." Daniel stepped closer, his voice rising just enough to carry. "No, let's talk here, in front of everyone you lied to. How long has this been going on?" Javier raised a hand, attempting to intervene. "Mr. Rivera, I think there's a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" Daniel cut him off, turning to face him. "My wife's practically in your lap at a party she didn't tell me about." "Explain that." Maria's voice cracked. "It's not like that. It just happened. I was stressed, and you were always working." Daniel's laugh was bitter. "Stressed? I've been killing myself to keep our family afloat while you're playing house with your boss." He scanned the room, spotting familiar faces, clients, friends, people who dined at their table. "You all knew, didn't you? And nobody thought to tell me?" Sophia stepped forward, her voice low. "Daniel, I invited you tonight because you deserve to know. I'm sorry it happened like this." Before Maria could respond, Daniel turned and walked out, the crowd parting silently. He didn't look back, even as Maria called his name. In the car, he gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white. The drive home to Coral Gables was a blur, the Miami skyline mocking him with its glittering indifference. At home, the house was quiet except for a faint light from Lucas's room. His 17-year-old son was sprawled on his bed, earbuds in, scrolling on his phone. He pulled them out when Daniel knocked. "Dad, you're back early. Where's Mom?" Daniel hesitated, searching for words that wouldn't wound. "She's still at the party." "Lucas, did you notice anything off with Mom lately?" Lucas sat up, his jaw tightening. "Yeah, she's been weird. Always on her phone, sneaking calls. Last week, I heard her talking to some guy named Javier. She was laughing, saying she couldn't wait to get away. I thought maybe it was work stuff, but..." He trailed off, eyes searching Daniel's face. "She's cheating, isn't she?" The question hit like a punch. Daniel nodded slowly. "I think so, son. I'm going to find out." The next morning, Daniel called Elena Cruz, a private investigator recommended by his friend Carlos, who navigated his own divorce. Elena's office was a no-nonsense space in downtown Miami, her desk stacked with files. She listened as Daniel recounted the party, her eyes sharp and assessing. "I need to know everything," Daniel said. "How long, where, what she's hiding. All of it." Elena leaned back, her pen tapping the desk. "Most people say that, but the truth can hurt more than you expect." "You sure?" "I'm sure," Daniel said, his voice steady. "She's not just betraying me, she's betraying our boys." Elena nodded. "Give me a week. I'll dig into her finances, her movements, her communications. If there's dirt, I'll find it." Over the next few days, Daniel threw himself into work, prepping meals for clients while his mind churned. He kept things normal for Lucas and Mateo, driving them to school and soccer, but the strain was evident. Mateo, perceptive at 12, asked over breakfast, "Dad, why's Mom always gone? Is she mad at us?" Daniel forced a smile, ruffling his son's hair. "She's just busy with work, buddy. We're okay." But the lie tasted bitter. He couldn't protect them from the truth much longer. Elena called on Friday, her voice clipped. "Meet me in my office. You're not going to like this." When Daniel arrived, Elena slid a manila folder across her desk. "It's worse than an affair," she said. "Maria's been siphoning money from your joint account. $20,000 over 4 months. Hotel rooms, dinners, even a deposit on an apartment lease with Javier Torres's name on it." Daniel flipped through the folder, his stomach churning. Photos showed Maria and Javier at a South Beach hotel, laughing over wine at a rooftop restaurant, walking hand in Wynwood. Bank statements detailed transfers to accounts Daniel didn't recognize. The lease was the final blow, a downtown condo signed 2 weeks ago. "She's planning to leave us," Daniel said, his voice hollow. "Not just me, Lucas and Mateo, too." Elena nodded. "Looks like it. They've been meeting at hotels twice a week, always when she claims she's working late. I've got texts, too." Pulled from a burner phone she didn't hide well. "She's telling Javier she's ready for a new start." Daniel's hands shook as he closed the folder. "What's my next move? Legally? You've got enough for a divorce with cause. Florida courts don't take kindly to financial deception or abandonment. If your boys are willing to speak, their testimony could seal it." That night, Daniel sat Lucas and Mateo down in the living room. "Guys, I need to be honest," he said, his voice steady despite the ache in his chest. "Your mom's been seeing someone else. She's also been taking money from our family to fund it." Lucas's face hardened. "I knew it. That's why she's been so weird. What are we going to do?" Mateo's eyes welled up. "Does she not love us anymore?" Daniel pulled him close. "She loves you, but she's made bad choices. I'm going to fight to keep our family together, okay? I need to know you're with me." Lucas nodded fiercely. "I'm with you, Dad. She can't just walk away." Mateo wiped his eyes. "Me too. I want to stay with you." Daniel hugged them both, their resolve fueling his own. Maria's betrayal wasn't just personal. It was a war on their family. He'd confront her tomorrow, armed with evidence and the strength of his son's trust. The fight was just beginning. I stood in our kitchen, photos of Maria's affair with Javier Torres scattered across the counter. Hotels, dinners, a lease for their new life. She walked in, oblivious, until she saw the evidence. "Daniel, I can explain," she stammered, but I was done with lies. "I'm Daniel Rivera, a chef fighting for my sons, Lucas and Mateo. Maria's not just cheating. She's stealing our future. Tonight, I draw the line, and her world will crumble under the weight of her betrayal." Daniel Rivera sat at the kitchen table in their Coral Gables home, the manila folder from Elena Cruz, his private investigator, open before him. Photos spilled out. Maria and Javier Torres at a South Beach hotel, sharing wine at a rooftop bar, signing a lease for a downtown condo. Bank statements showed $20,000 drained from their joint account, money meant for Lucas's college fund and Mateo's soccer camp. The evidence was a gut punch, but it fueled Daniel's resolve. He'd confront Maria tonight and end her deception. Maria walked in at 7:30 p.m., her heels clicking on the tile. She froze when she saw the photos, her purse slipping to the floor. "Daniel," she whispered, "what is this?" "You tell me," Daniel said, his voice low and steady. 6 months of lies. Hotels, dinners, an apartment you plan to share with Javier Torres. You stole $20,000 from our family to fund your escape. Maria's hands shook as she picked up a photo, her eyes darting to the lease agreement. "It's not what you think. I was confused. I wasn't going to leave." Confused, Daniel stood, sliding the bank statements toward her. "You siphoned money we needed for our boys. You were ready to abandon Lucas and Mateo for a man you barely know. Don't lie to me again." Maria sank into a chair, her voice breaking. "I felt trapped, Daniel. You were so focused on your business, and I was carrying everything. Javier made me feel seen." "Seen?" Daniel's tone sharpened. "I've been killing myself to save this family while you spent our money on him. You don't get to play the victim." The back door creaked open, and Lucas stepped inside, his jaw tight. He'd been listening from the patio, his 17-year-old frame tense with anger. I heard you, Mom, he said. Last week, on the phone with Javier, you said you were done with this life. You meant us, didn't you? Maria's face crumpled. Lucas, no. I love you and Mateo. I made a mistake. Mateo appeared behind his brother, his 12-year-old eyes red. Why would you want to leave us? He asked, his voice small. Daniel put a hand on Mateo's shoulder, his own heart breaking. Your mom made choices that hurt us, but we're going to fix this together. Maria reached for Lucas, but he stepped back. Don't, he said. You lied to all of us. Daniel took a deep breath, his decision made. Here's how this goes, Maria. You end it with Javier tonight. You quit Torres Consulting, and you spend the next year proving you're worth keeping in this family. If you don't, I'm filing for divorce, and I'll use every piece of this evidence to make sure the boys stay with me. Maria's eyes widened. You can't be serious. We need my income, Daniel. Your business isn't enough. It will be, he said coldly. Rivera's Kitchen is turning a profit. We'll manage without your lies. Choose now. Maria stood, anger flashing. You're making this impossible. I made a mistake, but I'm still their mother. Then act like it, Daniel shot back. Or you'll explain to a judge why you plan to abandon your kids. She grabbed her phone and stormed out, slamming the door. Lucas turned to Daniel. What if she picks him? She won't, Daniel said, though doubt gnawed at him. But if she does, we'll fight for what's ours. The next morning, Daniel met with his lawyer, Carla Mendez, in her Brickell office. She scanned Elena's folder, her expression grim. This is damning, she said. Florida courts favor parents who prioritize stability. The financial deception and abandonment plans give you a strong case for full custody. If Lucas and Mateo testify, it's airtight. Daniel nodded. They're ready. They want to stay with me. Carla leaned forward. Maria's likely to lawyer up fast. Torres Consulting has deep pockets. Be prepared for a fight. That afternoon, Daniel picked up Mateo for soccer practice. The boy was quiet, kicking pebbles in the parking lot. Dad, what if Mom says no to your deal? Then we go to court, Daniel said, keeping his voice steady. But no matter what, I'm here. You and Lucas are my priority. Mateo nodded, climbing into the car. I don't want to see her right now. Is that bad? No, buddy, Daniel said, gripping the wheel. It's honest. Back home, Daniel found a text from Maria. We need to talk. I ended it with Javier. I'm not quitting my job, but I want to fix this. He didn't respond. Her words felt like a half measure, a stall tactic. Elena called an hour later with an update. Maria met Javier at a cafe this morning, she said. Looked like a breakup, but she was crying, and he didn't seem done. Watch your back. Daniel's jaw tightened. Maria was playing both sides, hedging her bets. He called Carlos, his friend who'd recommended Elena. If this goes to court, will the boys' choice hold up? In Florida, kids their age have a say, Carlos said. Judges listen, especially with evidence like yours. But Maria's not going down easy. Stay sharp. That night, Daniel sat with Lucas and Mateo in the living room, explaining the next steps. If your mom doesn't follow through, we'll have to fight for our family in court. It won't be easy, but I need to know you're in. Lucas crossed his arms. I'm in. She can't just walk away and pretend it's fine. Mateo hugged his knees. I'm scared, but I'm with you, Dad. Daniel pulled them close, their trust anchoring him. Maria's betrayal had cracked their world, but he'd rebuild it stronger. Tomorrow, he'd file the divorce papers, ready to face whatever fight she brought. The evidence was his weapon, his sons his strength, and the truth his shield. Maria's half-hearted breakup with Javier didn't fool me. I filed for divorce, armed with proof of her affair and $20,000 she stole from our family. I'm Daniel Rivera, a chef fighting for my sons, Lucas and Mateo, in a Miami courtroom. Maria's lawyer is ruthless, but my boy's loyalty and the truth are my strength. As her world unravels, my business thrives, and our family rebuilds. This isn't just a divorce. It's a reckoning, and I'm ready to win. Daniel Rivera sat in his lawyer's Brickell office, the divorce papers filed and a trial date set. Carla Mendez, his attorney, flipped through Elena Cruz's evidence folder, photos, bank statements, and the damning apartment lease Maria had co-signed with Javier Torres. This is a slam dunk, Carla said. Florida courts prioritize stability for kids. With Lucas and Mateo's testimony and this financial misconduct, you're in a strong position for full custody in the house. Daniel nodded, his resolve firm. Maria texted she ended it with Javier, but Elena saw them together yesterday. She's stalling. Carla's eyes narrowed. She's playing both sides. Her lawyer, Vanessa Ortiz from Torres Consulting's firm, is a shark. Expect a counterattack, probably painting you as an absent husband. Let her try, Daniel said. I've been there for my boys. She can't say the same. Back home in Coral Gables, Daniel kept life steady for Lucas and Mateo. He drove Mateo to soccer practice, cheering as the 12-year-old scored a goal. Lucas, 17, was studying for his SATs, determined to follow Daniel into the culinary world. But the tension was palpable. At dinner, Mateo pushed his rice around his plate. Dad, what if the judge makes us live with Mom? In Florida, kids your age get a say, Daniel reassured him. You and Lucas can tell the judge what you want. I'm fighting for us to stay together. Lucas looked up, his voice hard. She doesn't deserve us. I heard her on the phone again last night, whispering to someone. She's not done with him. Daniel's stomach twisted, but he kept his tone even. We've got the truth on our side. That's enough. The trial began on a muggy Monday in a downtown Miami courthouse. Vanessa Ortiz wasted no time, portraying Daniel as a work-obsessed chef who neglected Maria, driving her to seek comfort elsewhere. Mr. Rivera prioritized his failing business over his wife, she argued, her voice smooth and cutting. Mrs. Rivera's actions were a response to emotional abandonment. Daniel's jaw clenched as Carla countered, presenting Elena's evidence. Photos of Maria and Javier flashed on a courtroom screen. Intimate dinners, hotel lobbies, the lease agreement. Bank records showed the $20,000 Maria siphoned, money meant for the boy's future. The judge, a stern woman named Elena Vargas, leaned forward, her eyes sharp. Lucas took the stand first, his voice steady despite his nerves. Dad's always been there, cooking for us, driving us, helping with homework. Mom was always working late, but I heard her on the phone with Javier, planning to leave us. She didn't care how it had hurt us. Mateo followed, his small frame trembling, but his words clear. I don't want to live with Mom. She lied to us. Dad's the one who keeps our family together. The courtroom was silent as the boys spoke, their loyalty to Daniel undeniable. Maria sat beside her lawyer, her face pale, avoiding her son's gazes. When Carla called Daniel to the stand, he recounted the financial strain, his efforts to save Rivera's kitchen, and Maria's secret betrayal. I trusted her, he said, but she stole from our family and planned to abandon our boys. I'm here to protect them. Vanessa cross-examined, probing for weaknesses. Didn't you work 14-hour days, Mr. Rivera, leaving your wife to manage alone? I worked to keep us afloat, Daniel shot back. Maria chose to spend our money on her affair, not our family. The trial lasted 2 days, each moment a battle. On the final day, Maria took the stand, her voice shaking. I made mistakes, she admitted, but I love my sons. I want a chance to fix this. Carla didn't hold back. Mrs. Rivera, did you or did you not sign a lease with Javier Torres, intending to leave your family? Maria hesitated, then whispered, I considered it, but I didn't go through with it. The judge's expression hardened. Daniel knew the truth had landed. Days later, Judge Vargas delivered the verdict. Full custody to Daniel, the Coral Gables home, and 70% of marital assets. Maria's financial deception and abandonment plans justified the ruling. She sat motionless, her lawyer's hand on her shoulder, as the courtroom emptied. Outside, Lucas hugged Daniel. We did it, Dad. Mateo clung to his side. We're staying with you, right? Always, Daniel said, his voice thick with relief. The aftermath was swift. Word of Maria's affair spread through Miami's tight-knit social circles. Torres Consulting quietly let her go, and Javier transferred back to New York, distancing himself from the scandal. Maria moved into a small downtown apartment, her reputation in tatters. Meanwhile, Rivera's kitchen surged. The trial's publicity, local chef fights for family, drew new clients. Daniel rebranded as Rivera Family Table, emphasizing the loyalty Maria had forsaken. He hired 2 new chefs to handle the demand, freeing him to coach Mateo's soccer team and help Lucas with college essays. One evening, Carlos stopped by with a bottle of rum. You're the talk of Coral Gables, he said, pouring a glass. People admire you, man. You didn't just win, you rebuilt. Daniel raised his glass. For my boys. They're why I fought. As Maria faded from their lives, Daniel focused on the future. The The battle had been brutal, but it forged a stronger family. The war wasn't over. Maria still had visitation rights, but Daniel knew they'd face it together, unbreakable. The judge's gavel fell, granting me full custody in our Coral Gables home. Maria's affair and theft of $20,000 cost her everything. Her job, her lover, her reputation. I'm Daniel Rivera, a chef who turned betrayal into strength for my sons, Lucas and Mateo. Now, a year later, Rivera family table thrives, and our family is stronger than ever. But when Maria reappears, seeking forgiveness, I face a final choice: close the door or offer a chance at redemption. A year after the divorce trial, Daniel Rivera stood in the kitchen of his Coral Gables home, prepping a Thanksgiving feast for 12. Rivera Family Table, his rebranded catering business, was booming, fueled by Miami's elite and a wave of new clients drawn to his story of resilience. The trial's publicity, local chef fights for family, had turned Daniel into a symbol of loyalty, and his business reflected it, with bookings stretching into next summer. Lucas, now 18, was applying to culinary school, eager to join his father's empire. Mateo, 13, was his sous chef, chopping vegetables with a precision that made Daniel proud. The past year hadn't been easy. Maria's visitation rights were court-mandated, but Lucas refused to see her, his anger hardened by her lies. Mateo went once, returning quiet and withdrawn. She kept saying she's sorry, he told Daniel, but it felt weird. Daniel didn't push, letting his sons set their boundaries. Maria had moved into a modest downtown apartment, her career in ruins after Torres Consulting let her go. Javier Torres, her former lover, had vanished to New York, leaving her to face the fallout alone. Daniel focused on rebuilding. He coached Mateo's soccer team, attended Lucas's school events, and expanded his business with 2 new chefs and a food truck for Miami's festivals. The community rallied around him. Clients became friends, and neighbors invited the Riveras to barbecues and game nights. Carlos, his friend who'd recommended the private investigator Elena Cruz, was a constant support, often stopping by with advice or a laugh. Tonight's Thanksgiving was a celebration of their chosen family. The guest list included Carlos and his girlfriend Sofia, Elena Cruz, and 3 loyal clients who become like cousins. Lucas set the table while Mateo stirred a pot of arroz con pollo, the kitchen alive with chatter and the scent of roasting turkey. The doorbell rang, and Carlos arrived with Sofia, who hugged Daniel warmly. "You're killing it, amigo," she said, gesturing to the bustling kitchen. Elena followed, her usual stern demeanor softened by a bottle of wine. "To new beginnings," she toasted, raising a glass. As they sat for dinner, Lucas stood, holding his apple cider. "I want to make a toast," he said, his voice steady. "To Dad, who fought for us when Mom didn't. And to our real family, the people here who stuck by us." The table erupted in cheers, glasses clinking. Daniel's chest tightened with pride. This wasn't the family he'd envisioned years ago, but it was stronger, built on trust and loyalty Maria had forsaken. Halfway through dinner, Daniel's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "It's Maria. I'm at Mateo's soccer game tomorrow. Can we talk? I just want to say I'm sorry." He stared at the message, his fork paused midair. Lucas noticed his eyes narrowing. "Is that her?" Daniel nodded, setting the phone down. "She wants to talk at your game, Mateo." Mateo shrugged, his focus on his plate. "I don't care. She can say whatever, but I'm staying with you." The next day, Daniel stood on the sidelines of Mateo's soccer game, the Miami sun blazing. Maria approached during halftime, her steps hesitant. She looked different, simpler, no trace of the designer polish she'd once flaunted. "Daniel," she said softly, "I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm trying to be better. I'm sorry for the affair, the money, everything." Daniel studied her, the woman he'd loved for 15 years, now a stranger. "I believe you're sorry," he said, his voice even. "But sorry doesn't erase the pain you caused Lucas and Mateo. They're my priority now. You want forgiveness? Earn it with them, not me." Maria's eyes welled up, but she nodded. "I'm trying. I just miss them." Mateo jogged over, his face neutral. "Hey, Mom," he said, grabbing his water bottle. "Good luck with your game," she replied, her voice catching. He nodded and ran back to the field, leaving her standing alone. Daniel watched her walk away, a weight lifting. Maria's choices had consequences, and she was living them. His focus was his sons, his business, his community. Later that evening, as he and the boys cleaned the kitchen, Lucas turned to him. "You handle Mom okay today? You didn't get mad." "I don't need to," Daniel said, drying a plate. "We've built something stronger than her mistakes." Mateo grinned, tossing a dish towel over his shoulder. "We're still doing the food truck at the festival next week, right?" "Wouldn't miss it," Daniel said, pulling his sons into a hug. "Family comes first." Months later, Rivera Family Table was a Miami staple, its logo on every foodie's radar. Lucas got accepted to culinary school, and Mateo's soccer team made regionals, with Daniel cheering loudest. Maria sent occasional texts, small apologies, but the boys responded sparingly, their trust slow to rebuild. Daniel didn't push them. He learned that family wasn't just blood. It was the people who showed up day after day. As he locked up the food truck one night, the Miami skyline glowing, Daniel felt a quiet victory. Maria's betrayal had nearly broken them, but forged a family rooted in loyalty and resilience. They weren't just survivors, they were thriving, and that was enough.